Welcome back. It's another episode of Let 'Em Ride. We're going to be going over the 4-game WNBA slate for Sunday, June 23rd. We're going to break down and analyze each of those games. I'll let you know which way I'm leaning as far as the points and the spread, and then any plays that I put in for these games will be down below in that pinned comment later on. So don't forget to check back in so you don't miss out on any of those. And then to recap our previous picks, Friday's games were still live at the time of recording for the Saturday video. So we'll start there. We had the Fever team total over 82.5. That does cash for us. It cashed about midway through the fourth quarter, actually. And then we had a two-leg parlay that we put in. Used a 50% profit boost from DraftKings, so that boosted our odds up to plus 271. Fever money line, Aces first quarter money line, that hits as well. And then Saturday's picks, we had Derek Hamby under 16.5. She had like 12 or 14 at the half. She damn near goes over the number then. She finished with 20, so we do not cash there. And then we had the Mercury versus the Lynx first quarter under 42.5. That cashes. So we are now up plus 7.48 units with a 14-8 overall record. Let's keep the good energy going, guys. Let's get into these picks today. For our first game, we have the Connecticut Sun taking on the Seattle Storm. The Storm are laying 1.5 in this one with the over-under sitting at 157.5. Now, after starting the season 1-3, then winning 6 straight, the Storm have since gone 2-3 both straight up and against the spread. Seattle has lost 2 in a row to surging Phoenix and Vegas teams. They trailed Phoenix by 15 after 3, ultimately losing by 9. Then they lost to the Aces by 11 after falling behind early in that one in the first quarter by 13. They're at home for this one, however, with a 2-day rest advantage. The Sun are 4-1 straight up in their last 5. They're 3-2 to the number in that span. They're coming off an 11-point loss to the Aces as well. And it's only their second loss in 15 games on this year. These teams, they match up pretty evenly in my opinion. They both play a very similar style of play. Neither team really relies heavily or at all on the three, preferring to score from inside the paint and then winning games with their strong D. Pause. The Sun are tops in the W in scoring defense, holding opponents to 72 points per game. The Storm aren't far behind at 4th, holding their opponents to 79 points per game. The Storm do hold the edge, however, defensively in a few areas. They are second in steals, and they are first in blocks. And then they are also the top rebounding team in the W, while the Sun only rank 10th. But I do think this is a little bit of a misleading stat, as they are also second in rebounding percentage. So with all that said, it's a tough one to pick side-wise. Both teams have won the games that they should, and then all of their losses have come against really good teams. The Sun have 2 losses on the year. Their loss at Vegas in the last outing, obviously, and then a loss at home to the Liberty a couple weeks back. And the Storm have lost to the Lynx 3 times, the Liberty, the surging Mercury post-Griner, Rebecca Allen return, and then just recently to the Aces. So all good teams. Although the Sun have the better overall record and a top-ranked defense, I think I'm going to side with the team at home here with the rest advantage and in a situation that, to me, just feels more desperate for a win. A 3rd loss in a row here would drop Seattle to 9-7 with the Aces and the Mercury right on their heels of the standings. So I'm going to lean under in this one as well. I can't go on and on about these defenses and then expect both these teams to come out here shooting the lights out. Although that's the kind of shit that happens in the world of sports betting, as we all know. But over their last 10, the Sun have scored 80 or more only 3 times, while the Storm have they've only averaged 73 points per game when facing a team with a top 5 ranked defense. All right, next up we have the New York Liberty taking on the Atlanta Dream. The Liberty are laying 9 in this one with an over-under sitting at 161.5. Now, the Liberty are 14-3. They're 4-1 straight up in their last 5. They're only 1-4 to the number in that time. The Dream are only 1-4 to the number and straight up over their last 5. They are 6-8 on the year, and then they're at home in this one with a 1-day rest advantage over New York, who is on the second leg of a back-to-back. The Dream are without Ryan Howard, who injured her ankle on Wednesday, and have been without Jordan Canada all season, but it does look like she'll be making her Dream debut on Sunday. Lainey Hamilton is listed as questionable again for New York with her knee injury. So we'll have to see closer to game time if she's able to suit up. These offenses have trended in much different directions over their last 5. New York is first in offensive rating. The Dream are second to last. The Liberty are first in effective field goal and true shooting percentages. Atlanta is last. When these two teams met in Atlanta in early June, the Liberty didn't shoot the ball well at all. 39% from the field, 29% from deep. But they still won by 17 as Atlanta shot the ball worse, 34% overall, and only 14% from 3. So I like New York to win in this one, and I'm leaning them to cover. New York is 6-2 on the road this year, and they've covered in 5 of those 8 games. The Liberty are first in points per game. They're shooting the ball at the best rate in the league, 46% overall. And then the Dream are dead last in both, scoring only 75 points per game and shooting at only 39% overall. It's a big number, the spread, and they've struggled to cover these larger spreads on the year. But I can't look at Atlanta here over this Liberty team. So I'll probably just look at the first half here, as New York has shown a tendency to build up these big first half leads, and then they kind of let these teams creep back in to close the gap some in the second half. So I'll avoid that second half coast that New York goes on at times, and I'm going to take New York laying the 6 by halftime. And then the total here is tricky because with that number as low as it is, I want to go over. But this Dream offense is the worst in the league, and then without Howard now on top of it, I don't know. I don't know where the points are coming from. So I'm leaning Liberty on the team total over again. I leaned that way yesterday and then didn't pull the trigger, so of course they crushed it, right? The line has dropped to 85.5 for this one, with New York on a back-to-back and on the road. I'm assuming that's why it's dropped. But the last time New York was on a back-to-back, they scored 11 more points on that second game, landing at 93. This was against a Mystics team, however, so you take that for whatever it's worth to you. But I am going to lean Liberty team total over 85.5 in this one. All right, we have the Dallas Wings taking on the Washington Mystics. Washington is sitting as a 1-point favorite in this one, with the over-under sitting at 162. Now, a lot of people were on Dallas yesterday, and I just didn't see it personally, but I also didn't feel strongly enough about it to pull the trigger on that Washington lean. But man, I should have, right? They won by 28 points, 97-69. They shoot 49% from the field, 42% from three, and they held Dallas to just 39 and 21% shooting. J.C. Sheldon from Dallas shot 4 of 7 from deep. The rest of the team, 1 of 17. It's just not a good shooting performance from Dallas whatsoever. They've now lost 10 straight. The Mystics have won 3 of 4. So in a back-to-back rematch at home after a blowout win, I want to lean Mystics, right? But just something makes me feel like Dallas gets it done here in this grudge match and they break that 10-game losing streak. So I'm probably just going to stay off this one altogether. I didn't like the game yesterday. I didn't like the matchup from a betting standpoint. I don't really like it today either. But if I had to pick a side, I guess I would pick Dallas on this one. For the total, the Wings have hit the over in 4 of their last 6. The Mystics have hit the over in 5 of their last 6. Washington has scored over 80 in 6 straight games as well, so I'll lean over in this. And for our final game on the slate, we have the Chicago Sky hosting the Indiana Fever. Now, the Sky opened up as favorites, but the line has since moved in favor of Indiana, who are now 1-point favorites, with the over-under sitting at 169. The Fever, after starting the year 1-8, are now 6-2. They've covered in 4 straight. The Sky had lost 4 straight before beating the struggling Wings at home on Thursday. Fogg Bentley is still out for Indiana. Williams is still out for Chicago. This is the third meeting between these two in what has turned into a fun new rivalry, although Caitlin Clark has tried to downplay that recently. The Fever have won the first 2 matchups here between these two teams, but both of them came down to the end, and they were both at Indiana. The Fever are only 2-2 in their last 4 road games, but those 2 losses were to the Sun and to the Liberty. I don't know. I'm looking at this, and Angel Reese and the Sky, they're itching to get that first win after Clark, after the Fever beat them in their first 2. And I think we get their best effort this Sunday afternoon. The Sky only shot 40% from the field in both those games against the Fever earlier this year, and they managed to keep those games close still. So I think they break through here with big games from their rookies, Reese and Cardoso, and then their scoring threats, Mabry and Kennedy Carter. So fading a hot Fever team, it's risky, right? But I'll lean Chicago, as the Sky are at home. They got the rest advantage. And the Fever come into this one with the potential for a letdown. For the total, I'm leaning under. This number is where it is because of the offensive firepower that we've seen from Indiana over these last couple weeks. But Chicago does rank 6th in defensive rating, and Indiana has played at the second slowest pace over their last 8 games. Now, I expect the intensity and the physicality to be up in this one. For the reasons stated earlier, Chicago is itching to get that first win over Indiana after losing those first 2. So I just expect this to be a low-scoring affair as a result of all that. All right, that's going to wrap it up here for another episode of Let It Ride. Thanks for tuning into the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the content, and if you found the information helpful or useful in any kind of way, please don't forget to smash that like button down below. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. That way you do not miss out on any of the content that we're dropping daily. And hit share if you can. It's definitely appreciated. And don't forget to check down below into that pinned comment later. That way you don't miss out on any of the plays that I put in for these games. And that way you can choose if you'd like to ride along, or maybe you think these plays are duds and you want to do the contrary. But whatever you decide to do, don't forget to drop that down into the comments below so I can see what you guys have cooked up, what you guys are rolling with for the day as well. Best of luck, bet responsibly. I'll see y'all on the next one.